A WWE talent released yesterday is debuting for AEW tonight. Plus, a title match has been announced for NXT Vengeance Day, and we have backstage changes from this past Monday's Raw. It's in the wrestling news right now. He's a man with a plan. Brian Kendrick flavoured news to start the day.
Yeah.
This is really quite exciting. I know it kind of harkens back to those really heady days of the Monday Night Wars and stuff like that to talk about something like this. And because of the speed in which it's all gone down. So we talked previously about Brian Kendrick not being happy within WWE, and he was waiting for his release. He'd said, I don't want to be here no more. And WWE, like they had been with Mustafa Ali, we're not in a rush to grant a release.
You're not going anywhere, sunshine.
Yeah. We released 80 people, but we want to keep you.
Get in the Rumble.
Yeah. Get in there with Haaland, have a match or not. And it was revealed yesterday in the early hours of the morning here in the UK by Sean Fightful of Ross Sapp that Brian Kendrick had been granted his release from WWE.
Yeah.
45 minutes later, I think it was about 45 minutes after that announcement, AEW announced that on Dynamite tonight, Jon Moxley will face Brian Kendrick.
This is
cool.
Great. I mean, I'm assuming that Brian won't have Brian, like we're on first name terms. I'm assuming that he won't have a non-compete simply because he was a trainer, wasn't he?
Yeah, so
he was kind of behind. No, he was producer, wasn't he? He was a producer for NXT, I think.
Trainer, producer.
Yeah, he had like a big backstage role, so maybe kind of that doesn't limit you to where you can go and perform.
Either that, or he's about to get into a lot of legal bother.
Yeah. But it is going to happen at some point. May as well happen now.
From what I can gather, like as of the moment he was granted his release, he was good to go as and where, whenever he wanted. So AEW in Chicago tonight decided to strike while the iron was hot. They're building to something with Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. So I guess, Brian Kendrick being in there from the same Shawn Michaels Academy class, there's a story you can tell there.
This is it, yeah. And Brian Kendrick has been around the indie scene and just the wrestling scene in the US for so long that I think this is just a nice little get for AEW, isn't it? It's he is for all that WWE just kind of shoehole him into 205 Live, and his initial runs with WWE weren't ever really anything major, but he held some belts, didn't he? I think he held some tag championships.
He was a former WWE champion, if some timeline to be believed.
I think it's quite nice to have him come back and be given just a big little.
A little thing to do is he a get? He is a good get, but is he a get they've got for good? It looks at the moment like it's a one and done. Just to bring him in, give him a match and whatever. But no discussions on whether he's signed to a full-time deal. I think we have that conversation once again about the size of the AEW roster and whether they would want to bring someone in like Brian Kendrick to wrestle full-time.
Yeah,
maybe in a backstage capacity, maybe
possibly.
But I think that Kendrick's got some fuel in the tank and wants to go out there and graft again, and I wonder whether this is just him sort of flying through the doors of AEW and then moving on to other things. I guess we'll find out during Dynamite tonight what his plans are. But Kendrick, 24 hours, what a 24 hours it's been for him. He was in WWE and now making his AEW Dynamite debut. He's on the same show from Chicago of CM Punk versus MJF.
Nice.
That is a thing that is happening in Chicago tonight. That'd be wild. Ruby Soho is facing Nyla Rose tonight, and we've got Malachi Black and Brody King taking on Pac and Penta. So should be a fun night.
Pretty stacked card.
Yeah, that along with the AEW debut of Brian Kendrick. But what of the place he left behind? Well, NXT 2.0 is building to Vengeance Day. Last night it was announced that JC Jane and Juju Dolin from Toxic Attraction will defend their women's tag titles against Persia Pirotta and Indy Hartwell. This is the Valentine's Day show that NXT are running. They had some fun last night with Toxic Attraction and Kaylee Ray, with Kaylee Ray kidnapping Toxic Attraction.
Why not?
Yeah, and holding them hostage. There was spaghetti in the face and stuff like that. It very much felt like Jack said on Twitter, it felt like sort of a teen comedy movie. But I think that's maybe why NXT's trying to be now. That will lead to a match for next week between Kaylee Ray and Mandy Rose as well.
I don't know why, but it just popped in my head that they're sat around a really important NXT 1.0 meeting. Something huge, something world-changing is about to happen. And Vince just kicks the door in with a VHS and not another teen movie. And he's like, stop! spin it all off. I've got a new idea. And he just plants it on the table.
We watched a bit of NXT upstairs, and then Fraser terrified me by we were watching Raquel Gonzalez, and he's like, do you reckon at any point Vince has made the connection and gone, she can be the daughter of Giant Gonzalez?
But hopefully not.
Oh, that was such a good one that we nearly got a swear.
Is it the same spelling as on the surnames?
I don't think Vince would worry. I think he'd change it accordingly.
True. Yeah.
If there is no evidence that is happening,
the surnames don't really exist, right?
Yeah.
No, there's absolutely... Tom's just going off on one. Right?
No. My source is, dude, trust me. Raw on Monday night had a couple of random changes. We'll end on this one. Fightful Select saying that Dolph Ziggler was meant to face Montez Ford. That ended up being Ziggler versus Angelo Dawkins instead. We know that Ford's just come back off an injury.
Yeah.
And he was on Raw.
It could be... it could be many things. It's sort of we've got.
He was in the Rumble as well.
Yeah, he was in the Rumble. It's like maybe it's just might have like aggravated it a little bit and just take a week off. It could be any number of little things like that. I think had it been another major injury, WWE would have announced it and it would have been that route because they don't tend to sit on things like that, do they? So
no. Possibly not. We'll keep an eye on that one, obviously.
Yeah.
We were meant to see Randy Orton and Riddle taking part in that scooter race against Alpha Academy. That ended up being just Riddle versus Chad Gable. I know, the show suffered as a result. Then we saw a match with Otis and Riddle. So Randy Orton was not on Raw last night. He was meant to be there. For whatever reason, he wasn't. We'll have more on that in another video in a little while's time. But otherwise, Raw is a strange beast at the moment. It's a very strange beast.
It has been for about 15 years. I don't know why you're so surprised.
But it's true. It's
like
true.
You could walk in and be like, oh, on Raw last night they threw a ton of beans. They got somebody down with a beans truck like Kurt Angle, and they sprayed beans all over Baron Corbin. And he was back to being Baron Corbin for no reason. And also there was just a clown the entire night just frying bacon at commentary. You wouldn't bat an eye. It's Raw,
You just made Raw substantially better.
There was a lot of crash zooms on the bacon being flipped, like...
Done, you done! Don't want that much close-up on my bacon, done. Pull the finger off the beef, done. More news throughout the day as we get it at Cultaholic.com, including the latest on our lead story for this video. Brian Kendrick, who was in WWE start of this week, debuting for AEW tonight.
Yeah, anything can happen in the great, wide, scary, crazy world of wrestling, but...
we
with us.
We also break down 10 underrated WWE title reigns at youtube.com/Cultaholic. Title reigns that sort of swept under the rug a little bit and forgotten about in the annals of time. And I mentioned it in a fun way a minute ago, but are we counting Brian Kendrick's title win or not? Now he's gone from the company.
Yeah, if you
current WWE champion Brian Kendrick.
If you held a title, you're a title holder. What?
It's because they didn't they got wrong for not properly explaining the rules of the scramble
they
match.
lie about dates, they lie about attendances. It's not lying in wrestling. It's just buttering the truth, isn't it?
They buttered the truth and made Brian Kendrick a former WWE champion. Not that I'm against it.
Then he's a champion.
Maybe we counted. Maybe we counted it in the video. You can check it out at youtube.com/Cultaholic or where you are right now. Or just click any of these videos that are around here. They all look fun. Stay safe. I love you. Bye.